weekend. Last weekend we have Brother Wissam Sharif. This weekend we have another great da'iyah, and a student of knowledge in the West. He, alhamdulillah, from the second generation Muslims here in the West, born, raised in America, and graduated from Jami'a al-Islamiyya bil-Madina. وهو زائر لنا في هذا إن شاء الله عطلة الأسبوع this weekend والشيخ سعد Tasleem. He's also an instructor at Al-Maghrib Institute, and his main event will be tomorrow inshallah ta'ala after we finish the Taraweeh at 12 o'clock. We will have inshallah an event from 12 all the way to 1, maybe a little bit hang out. Then we will have Qiyam al-Layl inshallah every Saturday from 3 to 4, until the last 10 days start. We'll always take advantage Saturday because it's a weekend, since we read short during the weekdays. So inshallah there will be every Saturday from 3 to 4 inshallah ta'ala we'll have Qiyam bi-idhnillah ta'ala. So this weekend we'll start with Sheikh Saad, and I will give him the microphone for a short Khatirah, kind of 5 minutes reminder inshallah to all of us. Jazakallah khair. And the Sheikh, we have been stuck in the airport for more than 24 hours because of Arthur. Is it Arthur? Arthur, the hurricanes in the East Coast. Okay, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. And by the way, Sheikh Saad never traveled in Ramadan. He only came here for you guys. Jazakallah khair.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وسيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First and foremost, I want to say thanks to Sheikh Walid, Jazakallah khair, and the community as well for calling me out here. As the Sheikh said, I usually don't travel in Ramadan. One of my teachers in Medina, one of the things that he told me before I left Medina, I asked him for some advice. I said, I'm leaving, and most likely when I go back to America, I'll be involved in da'wah and teaching people and all of that. And he told me, he said, Sa'ad, 11 months out of the year are for the people, but at least 1 month out of the year should be for yourself. And so I try to take advantage of that. I try to really internalize what's happening around me in this month, but when Sheikh Walid invites, who can really refuse? Also, I'd like to say, subhanAllah, Sheikh Walid, someone who I've looked up to for a very long time. I didn't get the chance to personally sit with Sheikh Walid a lot, but I don't know if he knows this, but before I went to Medina, I actually benefited a lot from tapes and CDs, and back then there weren't many CDs, mostly tapes. But I would listen to a lot of his lectures, so it's not actually truly appropriate that I speak when Sheikh Walid is here, but because he requested that I do give this Khatirah, and just for that reason that I decided to go ahead and do so. Inshallah ta'ala, I want to quickly share a story with you, something that happened to me. Actually, this is before I went to Medina. I went to Egypt for one summer when I was in college to study Arabic and learn Quran and all of that. However, I went with a budget of $1,000. And with those $1,000, I had to pay rent, I had to eat food, I had to pay the instructors to teach me Arabic and Quran and all of that. And I remember, subhanAllah, 1 month into my studies, I had begun my studies in Arabic, and I was looking for a Quran teacher. I was looking for someone to teach me how to recite the Quran, help me memorize the Quran, and really fix my recitation, my makharij and the letters and all of that. But the problem was that I was almost out of money. I had budgeted my amount of money, how much I had, and subhanAllah, the last big purchase that I made was, subhanAllah, a fan. And as you know, if you've ever been to Egypt in the summertime, it's very hot, and so I had bought a fan for myself, and it was a fairly pricey fan, but it wasn't that, that fancy. And I went to one of the brothers who worked at the institute that I was studying at, and I asked him, where can I get a fan from? He told me where I can get it, and I bought the fan. And then a few days later, I went back to this brother, and I knew he was actually very proficient in Quran. And I knew he had many ijazahs in Quran, so on and so forth. And I asked him, I said, I'm looking for someone to teach me Quran, but I don't have too much of a budget. And this brother, Jazakallah khair, one of the things he said to me, he said, I'll teach you Quran. And I said, okay, how much will you charge to teach me Quran? And I said, I still have 2 months to go. I need 2 months of classes every day, every morning, possibly for 1 hour to 2 hours of you teaching me Quran. How much will you charge? And this brother, he said to me, he said, that fan that you bought? I said, yeah. He said, well, before you leave, just leave that fan with me. He said, I got married recently, and I need a fan for my house. And he doesn't make a lot of money. And he said this fan would be a big help for me. And subhanAllah, I was out of money, and this was the only way I could do this. And I agreed, and subhanAllah, this brother, he would teach me Quran every day. Even in the mornings when I'd be very, very tired, he would call me. And he would say, I saw you run back to your house after Fajr, you need to come see me. And subhanAllah, he would be on my case. And the reason why I'm mentioning this story to you, my brothers and sisters, is because this is really the month of the Quran. And sometimes we may get into a situation where we maybe be in a state where we look at other people, and their recitation is great, and they have maybe their hufaz, they memorize the Quran, and so on and so forth, and we tend to tell ourselves that, I can never do it. I can never memorize much of the Quran. I will never be able to learn much of the Quran. Especially people when they get a little bit older, they tend to think that I can't do it. And wallahi, my brothers and sisters, if you have the right intention, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a way for you to memorize the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will really make a way for you to benefit from the Quran. And really, one of the things that I really want to get across here is not to get stuck into the issue of numbers. And one of the problems that happens in Ramadan is everyone becomes really concerned with numbers. How many exact rak'ahs should I pray? Is it 8 or 20 or this or that? Numbers. How much of the Quran, how many juz can I recite? How many times can I finish the Quran? How much of the Quran can I memorize? And subhanAllah, we miss out on the true purpose of the Quran being in our lives, and that's guidance for us, and for us to benefit from the Quran. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said about himself, he said, it took me 4 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. 4 years. You take the average Hafiz today, who's maybe like 4 or 5 years old, they memorize the whole Quran in 2 years. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, this Sahabi of the Prophet ﷺ, someone who we look up to, he said, it took me 4 years to memorize the Quran. Why? He said, it's because I would not pass a single ayah except that I would do tadabbur, except that I would ponder over it. I would think about it. I would ask myself, how does this affect me? And then he would say, tatbiq, al-amal wa tatbiq, and I would not pass by that ayah except that I would implement that ayah into my life. And he said, this is why it took me 4 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. And so my brothers and sisters, don't get caught up in the numbers or exactly how much you can memorize and so on and so forth. Just be careful that what you do have is actual quality. Whether it be a few ayahs or a few surahs or a juz or 2 juz, whatever you can do, make sure that it is quality. And really, my brothers and sisters, what we really want out of Ramadan is that whatever we have accomplished stays with us. That it doesn't just end at the end of Ramadan. And the scholars of the past, they would say that a test of if your Ramadan was accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not was if you continued in the piety that you had during the month of Ramadan. And we see, subhanAllah, we learn from this that even if it's small, subhanAllah, and we find proof for this in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, where she said that the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the most beloved action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. He said the most beloved actions to Allah are those which are done consistently, even if they're small. And that, my brothers and sisters, really is the goal for us. That whatever changes we're making in the month of Ramadan, that they last. And so, inshallah ta'ala, I want everyone, if it's possible, tonight when you go home, a few days have passed from the month of Ramadan, but we still have time in Ramadan, inshallah ta'ala. Really be realistic with yourself and ask yourself, what changes am I making in my life that I can carry on until after Ramadan, especially with the Quran. Even if it's the portion of the Quran you read, whether it be a page or half a page or 2 lines or 2 ayahs or whatever it is, but the point is that it lasts with us after the month of Ramadan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us from those who don't just listen to the Quran, hear the Quran, rather we hear the Quran and we listen to it and we ponder it and we think about it and we act upon it. Allahumma ameen. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa jazakum Allahu khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.